Logs are only useful if they can be collected, searched, retained, and trusted. When I think about logging platform, I start with the real job, a multi-service platform that needs searchable incident evidence across applications, infrastructure, and team boundaries. Before we pick components, be clear about the workload. This design has to handle log producers, agents, ingestion pipeline, buffering, indexing, storage, search, retention, structured logs, correlation IDs, access control, and cost management, not just a clean demo request. The first diagram usually looks fine because it only tells the happy path story. For this topic, that naive version is usually each service writes local logs and the team grips around production machines when something breaks. I still start simple on purpose. The smallest version that can work here is each service writes local logs and the team greps around production machines when something breaks. That gives the team a baseline before complexity earns its place. Next, I walk one normal request or event through the simple design. That is where the useful questions start, because the path reveals what each component actually owns. The problem is not that the simple version is wrong. The problem is that it ignores what production will demand next. Volume becomes noise if teams ship unstructured logs without correlation IDs or retention controls. The first production pressure usually shows up here. Volume becomes noise if teams ship unstructured logs without correlation IDs or retention controls. That is the moment when a pleasant diagram turns into an engineering decision. Then operations gets involved. If the design cannot be observed, rolled out, and recovered safely, the system is already too expensive to own. In this topic that pain looks like ingestion, spikes can drop, the very evidence you need during the incident if buffering is weak. And then comes the part junior diagrams almost always skip. Logs become a security and cost problem when access and retention are treated as afterthoughts. That is where production-grade thinking separates itself from feature demo thinking. So the better design adds only what solves a real problem. For this topic, that better shape is structured log events, collection agents, buffered ingestion, processes, index storage, retention policies, and controlled search access. This is what you gain from the stronger design. Centralized logging gives teams shared evidence, faster debugging, and a trustworthy investigation trail. Those gains are why the extra complexity is sometimes worth it. But there is always a bill to pay. The cost of the stronger design is indexing, retention, access control, and cost management become part of the platform you now have to operate. That trade-off is the real system design conversation. Now I challenge the design with a failure question. Ask what happens when ingestion is overloaded, the index cluster is slow, or one team dumps noisy debug logs into the shared platform. If the diagram cannot answer that honestly, it is not ready. So the final architecture story is simple. Trace a log event from service emission through collection, buffering, processing, indexing, retention, and search-driven investigation. That is the version I would be comfortable defending in a serious review. If you remember one thing, make it this. Viewers understand how centralized logging platforms work and how to avoid drowning in log volume. Good system design is a judgment loop, not a memorized answer key.